Welcome to the discussion segment of Good Morning Anambra this morning. Okay, today is a very important day, and as it concerns our health anyway. So we're going to look at a very important aspect of our health and the prevalent health issues that most people are going through. Like, I want to announce to you that today is World Diabetes Day. It's celebrated every 14th November every year, and it started since 1991 as it was created by the World Health Organization. That's what we are here to discuss today. And I have people that have joined me, the experts. I'm a presenter. I have experts that have joined me to look at that and tell us what it's all about. The first person is Dr. Okoye Ngozi. She is a registered dietitian and a nutritionist. I welcome you to Good Morning Anambra Studios. Dr. Ngozi Okoye.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Okay. And then the second person is Mrs. Adako Ego. She is a non-communicable coordinator diseases, NCDS, Ministry of Health, Anambra State. Good morning, Adako.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome. I think I've had you here once.
Yes, that was a World Hypertension Day.
So why do you like coming in my program? Okay, welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, beautiful ladies. Let's first of all start from the beginning by telling our people what is diabetes before we know what we'll have to do on the day that diabetes is being celebrated. Whether it should even be celebrated. Is this something to talk about? Let me start with you, Ngo. What's diabetes?
Thank you. Okay, let's have an overview of the diabetes. And what is diabetes? Diabetes is, as defined by World Health Organization, is a chronic metabolic disease characterized by increase of blood sugar. That's hyperglycemia. When we talk about the chronic metabolic disease, because most people often think it is only the disease as a result of carbohydrate. No. All these, there are three major micronutrients, and which are the carbohydrate, fat, and the protein. They are involved because they have problem. And it's true that the carbohydrate, that end product of carbohydrate for it to be absorbed in the system is glucose. And for protein, you have it as amino acid. Then fat, you have fatty acids, monoglyceride, and all. But there's a way the body has to metabolize these things for the body to assimilate. That is why it's a chronic metabolic disease. Do you understand? Now, again, most people don't know that they're suffering from diabetes. Like that was a research that was done by World in 2050 said that diabetes mellitus is a sixth leading death in the whole world.
Okay, let's first of all establish what causes diabetes.
Okay, good. In diabetes, but I think I have to say two types of diabetes before I go into the causes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I have about three main types of diabetes. You have the type 1, which was formerly known as juvenile diabetes or insulin-dependent diabetes, mostly known as type 1. Then have your type 2, which is non-insulin or matured. Then have your gestational diabetes. Then when you come to the type 1 diabetes, this is mostly seen in children, probably from 7 years to 11, at peaks there. It's of sudden onset. At times, most of the diabetes is idiopathic. And what do I mean by idiopathic? The actual cause is unknown. So, but when you see this type 1, it runs in the family, it's hereditary.
I was actually going to ask you if children suffer diabetes too.
Certainly.
As young as that age you mentioned.
Certainly, they do.
Really?
They do. At times, it might be as a result of autoimmune system that the body begins to eat up its cells. And when there is, in that type 1, the pancreas is sort of, it has a problem that it doesn't produce insulin, that the beta cells of the pancreas does not produce insulin. Then when we move over to type 2, then type 2 is mostly seen in adults, maybe as from 40 years or thereabouts. Then at times, overweight, obesity, and maybe this on pancreas can also offset that, cause that. Or maybe once people have been eating, maybe there was too much sugar in the system, when somebody is getting older, the metabolic rate is now reduced. So it now has insulin resistance, that the cells are no longer able to trap this insulin for energy. Then we'll talk about the gestational that mostly seen during pregnancy. So maybe these women that usually give birth to...
They say that is pregnancy-induced
pregnancy-induced diabetes. Okay. Mostly the one that maybe when they're pregnant, those of them that have been pregnant, maybe giving birth to 4.5 kg or thereabouts. So those people maybe after pregnancy goes off, but later in life...
What has the weight of the baby got to do with the accumulation of sugar in the system? Or is it not just what she ate while pregnant?
So when actually it has to do something, because the obesity causes insulin resistance. And when the baby is too fat, the insulin might not be absorbed by the system. What insulin does is that when we have excess sugar, if the body is able, that insulin activates the cells of the body. Okay. So that these cells will now drive the glucose and the body will be able to utilize for energy.
Okay, thank you. Let me pause you there and get to Ego to tell us more on the causes of diabetes.
Okay, so I'll speak on the risk factors of diabetes.
Okay.
So when you talk about risk factors, we have modifiable risk factor and we have non-modifiable risk factor, just like she mentioned genetics. So it's non-modifiable. It is already there in the gene. So once it's there, there's trace of diabetes in that person's gene, that individual is likely going to suffer diabetes.
It's likely,
yes,
but may not.
Or may not.
Okay.
So, but when it comes to modifiable risk factors, so these are called the lifestyle of that person, the eating habits, So when you expose yourself to a lot of intake of carbohydrates, plenty of them in your system, when you don't moderate them in your system, they can expose that person to diabetes.
What are the classes of this, what do you call it, carbohydrates? Is it apple, gari, and is there any other stuff through which you get the carbohydrates?
The energy-giving food.
All the energy-giving food
can be classified under this carbohydrates giving food, yes. So when they are not properly metabolized in the body, and obesity is a modifiable risk factor, because you can choose not to be obese when you can take care of your body mass index, when you can maintain your body mass index. So these are some of the factors, your eating habits, even the environment that you find yourself can also expose one to diabetes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You wanted to come in there, okay?
Something like we were asking about the classification. Carbohydrate have your simple carbohydrate and complex carbohydrate, and the simple carbohydrate are only those the monosaccharides. That are easily the end product, that's the glucose, is absorbed. They can hide the insulin, but the complex carbohydrate contains some of fiber. Those fiber helps to reduce.
What are the examples of the complex?
Okay, you have your whole grains. Like in the whole grain, you can get from maize. You have your peas, green peas, beans, and all whatnot. Those things you can get fiber.
Carbohydrates?
Certainly.
I thought beans are protein.
No. Beans is part of, you have like in beans, you have about 65% of carbohydrate and 5% of protein. Why is it people mostly classify beans as proteinous food? Because when you compare the protein content of beans with that of yam, you now see that beans has about 35% of protein, while yam has about 2 grams of protein. Even crayfish you are eating, do you know it has some elements of carbohydrates?
Really?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you very much. Now that we have established what is diabetes and then the types and the causes, okay, can we now look at the prevalence, okay? I don't know, when we are growing up, I think we never heard much about this person is diabetic or that. So why is this so prevalent now? Okay, let me start with you.
Okay, so currently the prevalence of diabetes in Nigeria is 5%. And why it is so common presently is certainly because of lifestyle. So, like I said earlier, when people don't take their health seriously, they tend to suffer this condition. And you know, the condition can actually be prevented if it is identified early enough during screening, and you can identify it and take your life seriously by modifying your lifestyle and taking your medication and your routine checkup.
Okay, we are coming to prevention, but now I want us to find out, why do we have more people suffering from diabetes now? Can I come to you, Ngozi?
Okay, thank you. Oh, actually, you know, in the olden days, most people don't actually go to hospital. Diabetes might be there. I still remember when I was a child growing up, like most of these, we have mostly all these traditional foods. Like in my village there's these locust beans, the kidney beans. Okay. This was being cultivated by our people. And this Kajanis Kaja, or that's, we call it Mporo or whatever. I don't know the
Which one is kidney beans? Akede? Or which
kidney
one?
Beans is, some people call it red beans. Take it like that, red beans. Some people call it Okpo.
What is the name in Igbo? Okay, Okpo.
Some people call it Okpo, but my people call it Ndudu.
Okay.
But it's, when you go to a coca,
is it the one they put in salad? Those red ones? Okay.
That's the kidney beans.
Okay.
People were cultivating these things. People were not more of eating westernized food, urbanized food, because people have grown into eating this urbanized food, maybe all these noodles and migo, all these quick food, and all these fibers are out. And that does not mean that diabetes was not there. It was, but it could not be as the prevalence as it is now. So, you know, people were concentrated in rural setting. And that rural setting, the concentration was that, no, you might say, they'll be eating akpu. You know, akpu is purified, this of the
apple, yam, all those.
Yes. That is a processed food, sort of. But remember, akpu is processed. Akpu does not consist.
What of G? I want to say that most of the things they eat in those days were basically carbohydrate based.
But do you know that people concentrated so much on, there's nothing they eat, cook, that plenty of vegetable will not be there. So this people will know, what does the vegetable do? What it does, that it helps to reduce, remember vegetable contains fiber. It helps to reduce the absorption of insulin. And remember our people, they were mostly farmers, they were doing a lot of exercises. Exercises help to reduce this edge in insulin absorption. And not many of them are obese, just as she rightly stated. It's one of the risk factors. Okay. Do you understand me? It's not that it might be there, but all these things help to checkmate those things during that time. So urbanization has come. Many houses, you see many women, most of the women are so lazy to cook, goes for easy made food, noodles. My children are going to school, I prepare noodles and all whatnot, and you know, pack them.
But let's look at that one before we go on. Why would the food manufacturers manufacture food that don't have fiber in it? You know that these things are not good for our health, and you are manufacturing them. Is it a kind of conspiracy to get us all sick and die early? I don't really understand. Okay, you are laughing, Ngozi. Nobody's true. All this fast food, this and that. And what is our what do you call it? What do you got? Those that regulate what we eat. What do they do? What is their role in all of this?
Okay, you may ask them what's their role, but I know as a businessman, the person has to sell his product. It's not left for you. If you have the good knowledge of what you are eating, good knowledge of nutrition, there's what you call fortification of food, enrichment and restoration. So when it comes to that, because you have your food pyramids, in the food, there are some servings you must take from all these classes of food in a day. You wouldn't say a manufacturer, if you're selling something in the market, you won't tell the person not to sell, because the person has to generate money from that. It's not left for you do knowledge, you have to back up. Do you understand me? You have to back up all these things so that you maintain a healthy life.
Okay, thank you. Let's now look at the prevention of diabetes. Adako, how do we prevent diabetes? I mean, this is one horrible thing that nobody wants to go through. How do we prevent it? Before we'll look at the presentation of diabetes. Yeah. How do we prevent it?
Okay, to start with, We have to increase awareness about this condition because a lot of persons may not know about it. They may not know the signs and the symptoms when they present with it. So education and awareness about this condition is very critical. And we also need to increase access to healthcare. You know, when our people have access to healthcare, they will be able to do their routine checkup and probably identify those conditions early enough to prevent them rather than waiting until when it gets complicated. So the key thing is our awareness, make people know about this condition, and you cannot just tell yourself that my parents don't have diabetes, it's not in my gene, so there is no possibility. It could be because the lifestyle, like she earlier said,
has
their
changed.
lifestyle and ours, they are not the same. So if we are able to expose ourselves to early screening, routine checkup, then if those conditions are identified early enough, you can prevent them by maintaining a good lifestyle. You engage yourself in a lot of physical activities that will help regulate your body. Then we can also some health habits like tobacco consumption. Tobacco is one major risk factors for almost all the NCDs. So, and the cessation of this tobacco can actually help us to prevent this condition. And if we are able to educate our people to know these risk factors that can expose them to tobacco condition and to diabetes, they will take care of themselves early enough to prevent them, because there's this saying that prevention is better than cure.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Adako. Thank you. Now, Ngo, let me come to you. I don't know, you have told us how to prevent it, but sometimes you find out that with all these measures, you don't even know when it's coming. So how do I know, or how do I start feeling, and I'll start suspecting that it's like I am becoming diabetic? No, not me. How will one know that he's becoming diabetic, or there's this sign that I'm feeling I need to check myself out?
Okay, thank you. You have some signs and symptoms. The signs are what the observer, I as a person, observes from the patient, and symptoms are what the person now tells me. There are 3 cardinal P's, and the 3 cardinal P's are polydipsia, polyuria, and polyphagia. And when I'm a polydipsia, that person might be drinking so much water, and still she or he is still thirsty. Then polyphagia, that excessive eating. Then polyuria, the person might be urinating more than he or she used to. And maybe at night, the person is, I don't know what is wrong with me, that usually when I sleep, maybe I only pass once or twice, but now it has increased up to 5 times.
And that does not mean that there's a change in her drinking habits, because when you drink too much, you urinate too much.
But you consider the weather that time.
Okay.
If it is hot weather, you can never express so much like that, because there are perspiration that all this are going through the skin, because our skins are porous. So now, the person says, okay, let me go to the hospital. It's when the person goes to the hospital, maybe the doctor will now send the person for an investigation to go to the lab. When the person goes to the lab, that might be where the thing might be diagnosed. But why some people might say, they'll go to all these pattern medicine stores, they'll be just buying drug, till now gets to such a chronic stage that some of the organs begin to damage, either because like diabetes is just a chain reaction. And what do I mean by chain reaction? Maybe somebody is suffering from diabetes mellitus. If it's the poorly controlled, it goes to bring kidney problem or hypertension. Then another signs and symptoms that the person becomes weak and tired. Then if the person has wound, there will be delay in healing. Then it attracts boys, infection will now attract boys with leukemia. Why? Because excess sugar, just like when somebody urinates, it attracts, what do you call it, ants. So due to that sugar in the system, some people might be exposed of urinary tract infection and all whatnot. So that is, but these 3 cardinal signs must be there. But in some people, from clinical observation or experience, some people might have only 2.
2 signs.
2 P's, either polyuria, polyphagia, or polydys of this. So that is
How many
it.
P's are they?
3 P's.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So maybe other signs might just come in, but these are the main signs and symptoms.
Okay.
Clinical features.
You wanted to add something? Okay. So we talked to some people on the street based on this, because this today is World Diabetes Day. That's why we are here talking about it. So we're going to bring them in, and then they talk to us who hear their own view before we continue. Stand by.
Yeah, I think the reason why people don't get adequate medical attention when they're having diabetes, one should be money. You understand? Because you can't just plan for a sickness. Let's say now, I might have the money, and when it comes, I'm going to the hospital to get my treatment because I have the money. You get now. And then injections too, because the diabetic patients, they take insulin, and it's very expensive. Let's say now, a roadside hawker or a trader, a petty trader, cannot afford it. You understand now? So that's why they can't take the adequate treatment. But they can do that with meal plan, avoiding some certain meals. It can help manage the sickness.
It's poverty, lack of wealth. Some people do not have money to go to hospital. Because of that, they stay at home, they drink agbo and others. That's all.
Some prefer to use natural remedy, like avoiding starchy food, eating a lot of vegetable and fruits.
So what I think that can cause someone to have any kind of sickness, including diabetes, without going for care is lack of money, because nobody wants to die. But when somebody don't have resources on how to, he will eat first. Regardless of going for treatment, it will be a challenge. So we are calling for government, for anybody that will make this country conducive for us, so that at least if you have concept, you can use it and get money.
Ihe batara na ụfọdụ anaghị ejekaba ụlọ ọgwụ dịka esi wee kwu ya. Mgbe ụfọdụ na-abụ ego, mana ego sochakwa n'ihe na-akpata. Mgbe ụfọdụ na-abụ enwere ohere ịnọ onwe anyị anya, enwere ohere duto na ife anyị eli n'afọ anaghị enyecha ndị be anyị ohere ịga ụlọ ọgwụ arụsị ike. Anyị nwaazị na-alụ ọlụ enyere ohere ka anyị na-ejie. Ụfọdụ na-eje, ụfọdụ anaghị ejie. Esokwa m n'onye na-eje na-ama ka arụ m dị. Mana mgbe ụfọdụ ọ na-ahịaba anyị arụ. Mana anụ m ayọ bụ na ọ ga-akala anyị mma, anyị nwa bụ mmadụ ekere eke. Ọ dị mkpa ka anyị je na-eje na-ama ka arụ anyị dị. Ọ ga-ebenata ọkụ ọnwụ nke a na-anwụ n'oge dị ugbu a.
So how do you manage diabetic patients?
Thank you. In the clinic area, if a client is brought to me, referred to me, a doctor has to invite the dietitian. Let me speak basically on myself as a dietitian. So when most of them are just anxious, anxiety. So first of all, when the person comes, certainly, when the person when I look at the mood, I just adjust it, relax. I will not go straight into counseling. I try to allay that anxiety, calm the patient down. When I see this patient is calmed, okay, I go on and begin to assess both life history, family history, and all whatnot. From my assessment, there are parameters I have to check and cross-check whether within normal or not. Do you understand me? From there, because you have individualized counseling, and it's not what's happened, maybe all this, just as I stated when I was talking about signs and symptoms, you know what appears you see in the other person might be seen in the other person. Do you understand? You try to tell the person to recall how this thing started, what is the eating habit, and all what not. When the person now tells you, then you try to note down those things. You look at the sugar, you look at the blood pressure, whether they are normal. Check the BMI of this client.
What's BMI?
Body mass index. So you take the body mass index of this client, note them down. Do you understand me? After a physical assessment and all whatnot, then you begin to prescribe your diet for the patient. And it varies. Not what you prescribe for A, you can prescribe for B. Depend the presentation and how you see this person. You consider the physical activity. If somebody is a sedentary worker just like you and I, it's not what I gave to somebody who is active, physically active. Or this maybe a roadside worker. It's not what I do. And it's not what you give to somebody who is type 1 that you now give to type 2. It varies.
Type 2 is higher than type 1. That's it's worse than type 1.
Not that is worse. What we mean by type 2 is that probably it comes about 90% of people, but in type 2, the insulin is still there. It's functional, but it's not enough. But in type 1, it is not there. You have, it's better.
They still have type 3.
Gestation. So you give insulin to activate. So that is not my area of jurisdiction. It's just doctors. But maybe when you are managing your client and you are now seeing that this insulin, you cannot give insulin and then maybe, unless whereby the level of sugar is so high, doctor will now say, okay, let me give insulin to bring down. You can suggest for your doctor as an advice.
So they say that the management of diabetes is very expensive. In my side, they say, no, I am doing illegal. So if somebody that is poor, that I can't even afford some of those things, you ask him or her to buy and eat, is there any low-level way that the person can still manage the diabetes?
Locally you can. That's diet and other aspects. But if it involves medicine, the person has to. That is why I said that in managing a diabetic, you have to involve both the doctor, nurses, dietitian, physiotherapist, social worker. Social worker helps to go in. If it is a place where things are being done well, social worker has to go into the community or every source money to help these people.
All right. Thank you. I think I've been able to sift enough from you guys.
Thank you
very much for coming. Well, if there's still more that you want to talk about, maybe we'll do a carryover. But for now, I think we've had enough and you have done very well.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Dr. Ngozi Okoye, registered dietitian and nutritionist. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, and then you are my mama's doctor, dietitian. Let me please say that Mama is very happy with you.
Certainly, she always when she comes to and any other problem she has, she just call me. Even when I was coming back, she called and I saw her missed call. I said, hey, Mama, I had to call back. I said, sorry, I was not, my phone was off that time. So, but I've spoken with her. She's doing fine. She said, if he sees me, looks like a sort of who will be remanded.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ego as money.
Abbreviation of Ego.
Okay.
It was good I asked. Okay, you're welcome. Non-communicable coordinator of diseases. And then you are from Ministry of Health, Anambra State. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We appreciate.
Okay, thank you. And that's how well we are drawing the curtain to make way for us to come in. And then if you join us tomorrow morning, you will receive another bomber package. This is what we do here every morning, Monday to Friday. My name is Ijama. You have a good day.